don't add the salt. I know you're gonna say, no, you have to have the salt. The bread won't have any flavor. Yes, I totally agree. And you are going to add the salt eventually, but don't add the salt initially when you first mix up your sourdough dough. I don't care what recipe it is you're making, whether it's everyday dough, English muffins, some kind of like seasonal pumpkin spiced loaf. Don't add the salt right away. And here's why. What you want is for the flour, the water, and the starter to all sit together. Now, you might hear people use the term autolyse stage. The autolyse stage is technically just like flour and water sitting together. You wait even to put the starter in, but we're gonna break the rules because I love breaking the rules. You're gonna put your flour, your water, your starter, you're gonna get all of the ingredients in. Every ingredient except the salt. Don't add the salt until your dough has had a chance to rest together. And here's why. When you add the salt into this mix, it is going to slow down the absorption of the water. So it basically starts to inhibit the flour from soaking up all of the moisture in the dough. So here is my big, huge batch of dough. It looks pretty sticky. It's pretty sticky right now, but this is going to rest for 30 minutes before we incorporate the salt into it, because we want a chance for the flour to get fully hydrated. We want it to soak up all of the moisture that it can. This helps your dough to not be as sticky. So if you've sent me messages and said my dough is too sticky, one of my first questions is always going to be, did you add the salt right away? Because it's crazy how it makes your dough stickier. The other thing is that when the flour has a chance to fully absorb all of this hydration, the flavor in your bread is better and the texture is better. And so this is the beauty of this step. When it says to put the water, the starter together, mix it up, get your flour in there, get that dough all combined, it's not gonna look soft and lovely initially, like this. It looks kind of lumpy. This is not what you would want to be working with, and it sticks to my fingers. When this is allowed to rest together without the salt in there, the texture of the dough is literally going to change in 30 minutes. But here is the secret trick that my sourdough guru taught me. And I know some of you are going to ask, how big is that bowl? Okay, this is an 8-quart bowl. We have the 8-quart KitchenAid stand mixer. I'm gonna put the link down below. It's amazing. This is enough dough to make 4 rustic or artisan style loaves. And this is the amount that I like to make each week. And then it sits in our fridge for 7 to sometimes 10 days. So I only have one day during the week that I'm doing baking and mixing and the kitchen is getting a mess and I'm having to spend time thinking about it. And the rest of the week, if we're like, ooh, let's have some bread because we're gonna have soup tonight, or let's have some bread because we wanna have sandwiches, all I have to do is pull a chunk of the dough out of the fridge. So that's why I like making these big batches of dough, because it literally proofs in the fridge and I don't have to think about mixing anything up for 7 to 10 days. And I'm gonna put the link to that video down below so that you can see how to make our everyday dough, how to batch it and put it in your fridge too. But if you tell me that your dough is sticky, I'm gonna ask you, did you add that salt right away? Because it honestly does make a difference. But here is the trick that my sourdough guru taught me, is once you get everything incorporated, you're gonna put your bowl back on your scale, or you could measure the salt in a separate bowl, however you wanna do it. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna shake the salt just over the top of the dough. It's not gonna get incorporated in, it's just sitting on the top. And what's gonna happen is that the salt is gonna start to break down as well. So our salt is now just resting on the top. Do you see that salt? It's gonna rest on the top for 30 minutes. And in in 30 minutes, I'm gonna push it down into the dough and we're gonna begin incorporating it. But the salt resting on the top allows it to just start to dissolve a little bit so that then it will incorporate into that dough really well. But here's the cool thing. When we were traveling, my family and I, we got to go to Greece and we found this amazing sourdough bakery there. And on the wall of the bakery, it had this whole phrase about autolyse, however you want to say it, and about how important it is that the dough be able to rest together before the salt is added. And it was just, I can't remember exactly how they said it. I need to go find the picture that I took of it. But it was so beautiful because here's the thing. Sourdough has a lot of rules of like, do this for it to be the best kind of bread. But so much of it is in unwinding and slowing down and allowing the sourdough starter to do the work that it wants to do in the dough. When you let the sourdough starter be in there and begin to start incorporating with the flour and begin to start developing the gluten and munching on all of the proteins in the flour, you're allowing your bread to have better flavor, and you can't rush that. So this isn't about rushing. It is about letting the sourdough starter work its magic. So now we're gonna just let the salt sit on the top of the dough, and after 30-ish minutes or so, I'm gonna get it incorporated with the first stretch and fold. But if you're incorporating your salt too early, I bet you are diminishing the flavor, the texture, how much rise you can get, how sticky your dough is, and it will change it if you just change this one thing and add the salt just on top and then incorporate it with the first stretch and fold. So click down in the description below. We got lots of good videos to help you with your sourdough. Come and bake with us. We love having you here in our kitchen. We hope that your kitchen is full of joy and laughter, and that all of the baking you're doing is calling all the people you love to your table.